Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another POV Doc Chat. My name is Eric Paternot. I'm production manager for Storyhunter here in New York. I have the pleasure today of being joined by filmmaker Noel True and Rob King. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm also joined by two characters in their short film. We have teacher Vince Womack. How you doing?
Hello, very well, Eric.
And student Donovan Brown. How you doing, Donovan?
I'm doing good.
Doing good, doing good. Today we're talking about their film, which is called The Jazz Ticket, which, by the way, you should all vote for on the PBS Online Film Festival, which runs until July 31st. Each individual, whether a friend, family, stranger, or Facebook friend, can vote once every day. So make sure to tell people to vote every day until July 31st. I think The Jazz Ticket is currently in 7th position. That is not good enough. We got to get up a lot higher. So tell everyone, and let's keep voting. The film itself is really inspirational because it's the story of the relationship between Vince and Donovan. And it's a relationship that really has kind of a virtuous circle to it, where an inspirational teacher allows a passionate student to rise and become who he's always wanted to be. So, although, you know, there's probably still a lot more for you in life, Donovan, don't worry about it. I think what we wanted to discuss as well today is your questions. So if you're watching this live, please feel free to send us your questions in the feed below the player, and we'll try to answer them as they come in. I also want to let you know real quick about Storyhunter, what it is we do, and after that we'll open up the floor to this discussion. Storyhunter was commissioned by POV to create a 3-part series of online videos discussing the African American male achievement gap from different perspective in America. And this story was specifically focusing on education. Storyhunter is basically an online platform that connects a network of freelance video journalists all around the world with premium publishers. And so POV in this case wanted us to source ideas, and this is what filmmaker Rob and Noel did. They saw our call to action. They realized this is a great opportunity. I want to work for POV. This is a subject that's really interesting. And they sent us a proposal, a pitch. And their pitch was really interesting because it contained 3 elements we're always looking for. One is access. They had demonstrated that Vince and his school, which we'll talk about later, is truly an amazing character and an amazing place. And in this case, they had complete access to him, his class, his students, and his methods. The other thing we're looking for is conflict. And in this case, what's interesting is that it's not so much conflict as tension. There is, at the end of a year, a real promise, but it doesn't always go fulfilled. And in this case, we wanted to see how education can help people open new doors. So with that, I think, you know, I'm going to start with the plug, and I want to get into the storyline. I think I'm going to start with Vince and Donovan. This is a question for both of you. Can you tell us what it felt like when you saw the film, the finished film, for the first time?
Well, when I first saw the film, I was thinking it was so scary to see how this all worked out and how it came together. From like the whole start to finish process. I just loved the way it looked, and I was happy with the way it expressed. No, I was happy that it expressed the way that I wanted to feel, and I wanted everyone else to feel as well as I. And I love the finished product. It was nice.
Yeah, I as well, seeing it for the first time and knowing how much footage had been shot, how many days and days of footage with all kinds of possibilities of angles. I was very, very impressed with with how it was edited and how it had a great direction and great focus. Because personally, I was battling bronchitis at the time, and I didn't know it. I just felt like I was dying. Couldn't talk, couldn't breathe, and that revealed itself in certain ways for me. But the editing was just really, really, and I'm not trying to serve up to the editors, but I'm telling you, the editing was really incredible. It was really, really incredible. So I'm very, very happy with the finished product. Very, very well done. Very happy.
Rob and Noel, what does it feel like when you've worked so hard and you've gotten to know intimately characters that you're portraying? Is it nerve-wracking to show it to them the first time and to see their reaction? Are you afraid that they might not like it for whatever reason?
Well, of course. I mean, as filmmakers, you see the real world, but then it's our job to interpret that and put it on the screen for others to see. And so you always wonder if your interpretation is in line with how the subject perceives his or her own life. And you can only hope that you can tell that story in a way that is respectful to the subject, but is also interesting to other viewers that are not familiar with the subject. So we always walk that tightrope.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So you gotta make characters interesting. Does that mean, obviously there's a lot of selecting that goes on, and as Vince said, there's a ton of footage, and yet, as Donovan said, he was happy with the way you made him come across because he felt it was true to him. So how do you...
funny. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, how do you select, all that stuff and boil it down?
It's a conundrum. In real life, unlike in a narrative that's scripted, where the conflict is literally on the page for anyone to see, when you're doing documentary format, you have to dig a little bit deeper to find what that conflict is. Because in real life, people usually avoid conflict. If I don't like you, Eric, I'm probably not going to tell you to your face. I'm probably going to try to avoid that, right? So we need to find what the conflict is here. It's usually not a person versus a person. It's usually a person striving for a dream or trying to overcome obstacles that are inherent in their life. So we had many different angles that we could have told the story with. It was up to us to find the most compelling angle. And for us, Rob and I, as well as you, Eric, and our other collaborators at Storyhunter, we honed in on this idea of Donovan and his quest to get to Berkeley College of Music, excuse me, and Vince's efforts to try to help Donovan achieve that dream. And we felt that was the strongest storyline with the best conflict, as you call it, but it doesn't feel like conflict in everyday life. In every day, it just feels like striving for a dream.
Right. And I think what's really amazing in this video is the relationship. So, could Vince and Donovan, maybe let's start with Donovan. How would you describe your relationship with Vince?
I would describe my relationship with Mr. Womack as a father figure, like not just a instructor or like musical director. It's just strictly like father, because I sort of missed out on that a lot as a kid. So knowing that like you have a dad that's like teaching you like more about like respect and quality and how to keep manners and such, and like how to stay humble and everything, like it's more of like a family thing instead of just a music teacher. And so we have like a weird strong connection, like a bond. So that's sort of how it is.
Vince, anything you'd like to add to that?
Wow, I could add so much to that. My relationship with Donovan, obviously, as a teacher to a student, Donovan has been, I think, very good for me. We've had a very long relationship, And it's been a challenge in some ways just because of the different aspects of music that Donovan has been interested in. But as much as it's been a challenge, it's also been a great amount of success because he's the type of kid that finishes for the most part where he starts. You know, when I first met Donovan in high school, as I mentioned in the film, he was involved with he wanted to play alto saxophone, and we were in high school jazz ensemble course in an ensemble, a high performing ensemble. I have a saxophone player in the front row who's learning the notes. Well, he did a pretty effective job learning the notes, but he also wanted to play drums. So from my perspective, he's doing a little bit of this. Now he wants to jump over and do a little bit of something else. And my whole agenda is about getting these kids to commit and to follow through. And ultimately, his opportunity came, and he demonstrated the tenacity and the follow-through and the readiness to take advantage of an opportunity. And from that point forward, as a drummer, as a percussionist, I think that's when a lot of the intensity, my I don't know, I guess you call it top shelf instruction, if you will. That's when Donovan got to really experience that. And I don't think any of that was intimidating to him. I think that opportunities that I was lucky enough to provide, he was hungry enough to take advantage of. I don't think I ever offered him any tough love that he never came back with fury to prove me wrong with. I mean, that's Donovan Brown. You know, he always comes back with what he needs to achieve. So my relationship with Donovan Brown is really outstanding. I mean, I wish I had this kind of relationship, this kind of symbiosis with all of my students.
Well, I'll jump in too and say that Vince is being a little bit modest because I've noticed and we observed that you do actually have very close relationships with a lot of your students beyond just being a music teacher. You know, he does a great job. He says it in the film, but he actually does tell the students in the classroom, look, I came here all the way from here. Remember he drew the U.S. map. Yeah. Came here all the way from here, went here for school, and then I came here to be with you. Okay, right? Doesn't he, Donovan? He makes a point. Yeah. Telling the students that he is in that classroom for a reason. It's not just a paycheck for him. It's not just, you know, something that he does till the bell rings at 2:30. He has a sense of purpose. He shares it with his students, and his students all feel like he is committed to them. And I think that's the attitude that allows the relationship to go a little bit deeper than just teacher-student, from an outside perspective anyway.
I'm glad you paid attention, Noel. That's very true.
I was paying attention that day. I don't know who else was, but I was.
You did an A, young lady. You did an A.
Thanks.
So from a filmmaking perspective, you know, obviously the relationship, as you all describe it, sounds very intense and sounds very strong. From a filmmaking perspective, how do you capture that? And how do you capture that so that it's authentic? Because obviously you're just barging in with a bunch of cameras inside a classroom. Every other student is probably watching you guys like straight into the lens, and then you can't use that. And then if it's, you know, I think in the film, to me at least, the most powerful moment is the rehearsal, when Donovan is trying to prepare himself for an audition. And I think, you know, it seems that part of that is constructed from a filmmaking perspective, and on the other hand, you want to capture authenticity. So how do you solve that puzzle?
You want to take that one since you were behind the camera?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, for that particular scene, we talked about this last time, that, you know, we knew that as part of the structure of the film that we wanted to see, that we wanted a scene of them rehearsing for his audition. It didn't fall within the natural course of the day, so it was something that we set up, you know, but it was very much something that happens naturally for them on a regular basis. So it was kind of like we set it up, we had the cameras ready to go, and then they just kind of jumped into their normal, routine of Donovan practicing, him giving the feedback, and there wasn't any sort of direction. It was very organic, and we felt like we were flies on the wall, and we tried to, stay out of the way as much as possible and let it unfold.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they had been rehearsing together for some time before we came in and filmed it, so I think they had an ease with each other that allowed them to ignore the cameras. As far as the classroom footage is concerned, I mean, we've done a lot of work in classrooms, so, we don't bring in our outside lights. We try to just use natural light in the classroom. We try to have a very small footprint with our cameras because we don't want students staring into the camera lens and we can't use the shot, you're right. So we just try to be as unobtrusive as possible. But it requires some suspension of disbelief on their parts also to know that the cameras are there and to try to ignore them as well.
Is that something Donovan, you feel is possible? Were you able to forget about the cameras?
Yeah, like I knew they were there, but once I was playing music, I was like, why should I worry about the cameras when I have to worry about my specific part and my role that I play in this ensemble or orchestra to make this sound right? So I was sort of like worried about the music mostly than the cameras.
Yeah, another good thing was they were prepping for this big parade. So there was a lot of emotion and it was really intense that week when we were shooting. So it was like there wasn't any time to fool with, the cameras or anything. It was just, it seemed like there was one thing after another, and
the students were pretty focused.
The students were focused, and Vince was focused, and there was a lot to do. So we were just along for the ride.
Donovan, what about the time when they came to your home, though? There was no music there, and it seemed like it was early morning, you're having breakfast. Tell us about that.
Well, that was kind of a little different. I just knew that, like, if I had something to do, then I might as well just do it. And it would just be, I don't know, I felt it would be weird to just pay attention to what they're doing more than what I was doing. So I was just working on, like, getting my stuff done and making sure it came out correctly or as well as I planned it to be. And that kind of helped me get through it.
He was a good sport, and we had already been filming for, I think, 2 days in the classroom, so I think Donovan was a little bit more used to what it's like to have a camera in your face by the time we went to his house.
Yeah.
Your mom, however, she needed another couple days before we went back to do her interview. The first day she was like, I'll just be over here in the kitchen.
Yeah.
When we came back for the interview, she was ready for us.
So as filmmakers, do you often find yourself asking, like, hey, sorry, could you do this again? Or, hey, would you go that way? Or how much, I mean, you said before, like, there was very little directing involved, but obviously you still need to get your shots, and there's still going to be that kind of relationship between the two of you, like, first you'll come to the home, and then you'll like, oh, don't worry about us, we'll just set up our equipment. And then you set up your equipment, and then it's like, just do your normal thing.
Well, we knew specifically, we had asked Donovan to hold off on finally submitting the final application to Berkeley until we got there with the cameras, and I know he was fighting his nails for a few days there, like, it's going to be due, but beyond asking Vince and Donovan to do the rehearsal session, which was something that they normally do, and asking Donovan to hold off until we got there to do the final submission to Berkeley, those were really the only two specific things that we requested, because, it's not a narrative. We don't want to say, can you click that again? I mean, once he did click it, we did say, we want to make sure we get this page, so can we go back and get a shot of this page? But we wanted the moment where he was putting in the credit card number or saying, okay, it's done. We wanted that to be as organic as possible. So we didn't really ask to go back or anything until after the actual emotional moment had happened. Then we felt it was okay to go back and maybe get a screen grab of a certain...
Yeah, I mean, and it's tough, right? I mean, we try not to, as much as possible, give direction. But, you know, we knew that we wanted, like, the shots of Donovan skateboarding. And we knew we wanted that sequence of him getting ready for school. So, in that sense, we had in our minds storyboarded out kind of what the visuals were going to be. So, nothing was something that he wouldn't have done, you know. So we just said, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of follow you as you're getting ready and skateboard off to school, and we're just going to take a little time doing it. So,
we did do a few takes of skateboarding.
Yeah.
But again, that was something, I mean, Donovan does ride a skateboard to school every day. So we felt like, as far as the line goes, we felt like we were still on the right side of it in terms of asking him to get on his skateboard maybe a couple of times, because we just wanted to be able to capture that sequence correctly.
No, and you did a beautiful job.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, Vince, what was it about Noel and Rob that convinced you to let them into your work and into your life? How did they pitch this to you?
Well, we had actually crossed paths a couple of years prior through USC. Some work that the University of Southern California Music School had done to, they had a capital campaign, and they needed to get the word out about things that they do in the community. And so they essentially hired this wonderful team to put together a film of sorts for that they could market, talking about all the things that they had done in the community and the importance of USC workers donating money to the USC Capital Campaign to do more good in the community. Well, I was one of several subjects that they had to interview for that piece, and that's when I met them. And as it seems, Noel remembered my work from there, and she felt that my school and my work with the musicians at Fauché, she felt that there was something there. She wasn't very specific. I think that, as she said, it was organic. I thought that they believed that once they got there, that they would find the direction for the film. So that USC piece some years ago, that was what brought us together for this piece. Now, I do want to back up and say, though, that when we got together in January, listen, we got back the second week in January. We had a parade at the end of the week. We had chair tryouts to accomplish. These students hadn't played in over 3 weeks because of the holidays. You know, and there were so many directions that we had to run in all at once, except I felt that it was important that we still try and accommodate what Noel and Rob wanted to do. So for Donovan, and Donovan's auditions coming up, and you know, we had to clean the place. You know, I mean, there were so many things going on during that particular time. I mean, it really was like war. It was confusing. You know, and I didn't feel incredibly organized.
You had bronchitis?
I had bronchitis. They thought I had pneumonia. You know, there are just so many things happening. So there are just so many winners every phase of this piece. And, you know, with Donovan, you know, some people have seen the film, they go, man, you're so tough on Donovan. I say, yes, I am tough on Donovan, but you got to understand, Donovan's really laid back. And sometimes the biggest key for me is to wake him up. You know, is to be the hot knife going through butter that gives him the wake-up call and let him know that, hey, we don't have time for this. You don't have time for this. You got to make it happen right now. And so the whole thing about not being leisure and the intensity of the piece, I mean, and my energy is essentially bringing my intensity and giving it to Donovan during a time when everyone could become distracted by all the other things that are going on. And obviously we needed to get focused. Obviously we needed to really seize the moment if we were going to be successful.
Vince, when we were shooting, Like you said, we were shooting so much stuff, and we were all over the place. And was there a point where you were like, I don't know what these guys are doing, or do they know what they're doing?
No.
Were you worried about it?
No, I wasn't worried about you guys. I didn't have time to be worried about you guys. I was worried about me. I was worried about us. I was worried about that parade at the end of the week. We're not a marching band. We don't march. I take 2 days in the summer just to give these guys the fundamentals. And the only time we really march is when we march into the theater or we march back to the band room. We don't do football games. We don't have a football team. So, but that parade for Martin Luther King, that's really one of the most important things we do. Even though we don't march, going out there and representing Dr. King is incredibly important for us. And bringing these kids together for that one moment is really important for us. And so there was a lot of intensity for that. So I didn't have time to worry about you guys. I mean, I had spoken to you. I looked you in your eyes. I knew you guys knew what you were doing. And I figured, well, I can always erase what they do at some point clandestinely anyway if I don't like it.
Well, there was one point when we thought we might have been done filming, but we might have needed another day and we weren't sure. And I said to Vince, I think we've got it. I need to go back and look at it. I think it's good, but I won't be satisfied until I think it's great. And there was a look of recognition on his face.
I remember that, yeah.
As just somebody that holds himself to incredibly high standards. When I said that, Vince, I felt like, not that you didn't respect me before, but I felt like when I said that, I saw your respect for me turn up a notch, and you were like, you know what? Anything that you need to make it great, just let me know, and I will do it. And that's when we felt like, okay, we're speaking the same language now, we're on the same page, and then it became not just us following him around, but partners trying to make a great piece of art.
Yeah. And he really did give us incredible access, as did Donovan. So, and that, like you said, Eric, that's one of the main things you need, And they really, the school opened their doors, Vince and Donovan, and that's, was really valuable.
I think
and I kind of wanted to say something about the school since you mentioned it. They were rightfully so very sensitive to the message that was going to come out about the school, because many years ago it was a failing school, and they are so proud of the achievements that they've made at Fauché and their graduation rate and all other statistics that indicate that it's a thriving school. They were really worried about us filmmakers portraying them as this, deadbeat school in the middle of a deadbeat neighborhood with a bunch of deadbeat families. And we had a lot of discussions with other people at Fauché about how exactly the school was going to be represented. And they wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be a story about, I don't know, for lack of a better term, poor brown people who can't get out. They wanted to make sure that Fauché was portrayed as a place that is thriving, that is succeeding, and that does have the help of the community. And so for me, it was a personal point of pride when the people at Fauché said to me they thought that the film was great and that we had done a great job representing the school. And that was something that made me feel good personally and as a filmmaker.
Yeah, no, I think that is very important because that's your reputation as well. It's your word that you're giving out there. And sometimes we don't have a lot more than that as filmmakers. We need people to trust us. And that brings me back, I just want to emphasize again what you said, which is very, very important. Although it doesn't often get said. But I think what you said about telling Vince that you wanted it to be great, and it really showed your commitment to the story, and that's important. I feel a lot of times filmmakers might be a little bit afraid to ask for more, and in the way they ask for more, they show uncertainty, doubt, and that is communicative. That, when it comes across, doesn't entice you as a potential character to give more, because you're seeing that doubt and that hesitation. And to be able to communicate clearly that you might be asking more, but it's because you care, that is a really, really great way of communicating what it is that you need in order for everybody to benefit from the work you're doing. So I would advise everyone out there to really take this lesson from Noel as something very important. The other thing is I wanted to get back to what Vince said earlier. You said, you know, it was a tough time, it was a busy time, and yet you still said yes. And I'm thinking that's also because you wanted a story to be told, but what's the story you wanted to share with people out there? And was that really the reason that made you, despite all these sort of obstacles in your way, say, okay, let's do this film?
I said yes because I'm crazy. I am really nuts. No, I believe that very much as the administration and the community at Fauché believes that there are so much good, that there are so many victories that need to be expressed. I felt that this was an opportunity for some victories at Fauché to be shared with others. And, you know, the story of Donovan and his quest, all the work that he's put into the process, I felt that there were many opportunities for that to be shaped and presented to the public in a way that other people might be inspired. As Donovan's a senior, there are some other Donovans coming along, whether we want to admit it or not. Sorry, Donovan. But, you know, but that is really what it was about. It was about hopefully finding something about us that was valuable to encapsulate, to present to everybody else. And I know we have that, even though it's uncomfortable for me, uncomfortable for us at the time. We have to look beyond that. And I think in very, very many ways, Donovan, maybe you can speak to this, but I think we always prepare for these kinds of moments. You know, greatness doesn't happen when you're expecting it or when you want it to come. It happens when it happens. You just got to be ready. So this is one of those situations. Everything's going on at once, but, you know, when something else comes up, you know, we have to be ready to make it happen. And this was a situation where that was the case.
Yeah, Donovan, I want to follow up as well. Did you feel like you were roped into this? Or did you feel like you had a say? And if you did or if you didn't, what ended up being your message? What story did you want to tell?
Well, going into this, I did feel like I had a lot of like other things I had going, but throughout high school and being in band and like balancing out band and like schoolwork and all this stuff, I'm sort of used to it now. Like, it's kind of fun being busy now instead of just being simple and having like a normal life with just one thing you do and studying for like this final or just doing schoolwork and just balancing out friends. I kind of like being busy now because I had a lot of stuff going on. I had like LAJ, like USC bands and stuff, and then I had little side projects that I was in. I was in marching band, concert band, jazz ensemble, and all these other charts, and like balancing this out it sort of helps you and like prepares you for later on in life. Like once I get to college, like I'm gonna have to balance all this and learn how to prioritize certain groups and keep things in certain places and know how to schedule my time. And that's kind of why I accepted this instead of like, oh no, we can give this to someone else, or like we can just wait and I'll let you pick someone else or like another student, or they'll have to come back another time. I wanted to take this on because I wanted to see how I would hold up and see if this would make me or break me. So this was a really cool opportunity, and I would have to say, coming back to the whole message of what I wanted everyone to see from this short film, I just wanted them to see that it really doesn't matter where you come from. It's what you want to do, and that if you continue to push, that you will make it. And you'll have to sacrifice a couple things, but it's worth it in the end. Like I still have to sacrifice a couple things, and I will I'm preparing myself for that. Like, there will be more sacrifice to come. But it just shows you, like, I wanted to tell everyone that through all, it doesn't matter where you're raised or what people say, or like, oh, you're from this school, or like they don't have this band, or they don't have this type of team. Like, it doesn't matter. It just matters about the drive that you have and your strive to become a better person. So that's kind of my message that I wanted to send out, was just to keep pushing.
Do you feel people are looking at you differently now, those that have seen the film?
Yeah, I would say a little bit different. Like, my friends, like certain friends I skate with, like when I do go skate, they're like, oh my God, like I saw your film, it's so nice. And he was like, now I know why you've been gone so much, because like I had to stop skating because I didn't want to really like mess anything up. So they've all seen me and they're like, oh my God, like I loved your film, and like I love how dedicated you are towards music. And I'm like, yeah, like I want them to see that. Like I want them to see that dedication and hard work really pays off. And it's nice to see that that's gone out and that message is flowing through.
Well, that's great. I think that does come through, and I think being a character, for lack of a better word, in a film is always an interesting experience, because it kind of forces you to step out and to look at yourself in a different way. We have some questions from the audience. I just want to go through some of them quickly, and please keep on submitting questions. We'll circle back before the end for some more. All three of them are actually for you, Vince. So let's go through them. The first question is, what's your history with the jazz program, and when did it get started?
Well, the jazz program at Fauché has been around for a very, very long time. Fauché's been a school for about 90 years. We have had, I'm sure everyone's familiar with the late, great jazz musician Eric Dolphy. Eric Dolphy went to junior high at Fauché. Now, Fauché was only a junior high at the time. I think maybe 6th, 7th, and 8th, or maybe 7th, 8th, 9th grade. Back in 1994, 1993, it became a K through 12 school. But prior to that, it was in fact a junior high. But Fauché has always had some kind of a music program, a very proud music program. Sometime in the 80s, late 80s, when the district went through some serious reductions in force and some budgetary cuts, the program took a pretty bad hit. And then when it was restructured as a high school, it had some issues with getting its footing. And that's around the time that I showed up. And, you know, at some point, standards and just having an organized plan and having the fire in your belly to withstand obstacles and to see it through, having goals and dreams, of course, you know, and having a good plan, incorporating parents, reaching out to the community, making sure that the students are aware of exactly what the purpose is, what the plan is. You know, that was all very important for us to reestablish that music program and to create that jazz program to continue to inspire young men and women like Donovan. But, you know, we brought in some great people. We reached out to the University of Southern California to make them a partner, their music program, their school of music. We reached out to the Los Angeles Philharmonic. We reached out to a lot of other greats in the neighborhood. Buddy Collette, the late Buddy Collette, used to come and see me from time to time. The late Billy Higgins, great drummer, would come by and see me. He was a partner of mine and really came out to work with the kids. So the great work wasn't just my great work, it was our great work, you know, and I'm really, really proud of that.
Vince, I can't remember if we told you that this piece was commissioned by POV in support of the feature-length documentary called American Promise. And the filmmaker and one of the main characters in American Promise, the father, Joe was his name, right?
Yeah.
He actually reached out to us after this short came out and said that he had graduated from Fauché back when it was just a middle school.
Yeah.
And so he was kind of blown away because there were these 3 short films that came out in support of his feature-length documentary that he had made about sending his own son to school. And they talked a little bit about his background. And then he was like, oh my gosh, and one of the shorts is about the school that I went to middle school at. So that was a crazy bit of serendipity that I'm not sure I ever shared with you.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, we'll get back to kind of the school and how this amazing program can be replicated and kind of the secret sauce, I guess. But I just want to get back to 2 more questions from the audience before that. So this one's also for Vince. Have you screened this film with other students or teachers? And if so, what has been their response?
I screened this with a 90-year-old retired teacher not so very long ago, and it brought her to tears. That was my mother, by the way. She was really touched by it, and I thought that the accessibility, I thought it was very linear. It was very easy to see where this thing is going, where this thing needs to go, and all the things that might happen, that need to happen along the way. I think all of the students at Fauché saw it. Donovan's very, very popular, and we had many outlets to get the film out there, through Facebook and Twitter and all those types of things. So, and the school made announcements over the PA system about it, and so I think everyone got a chance to see it. I did not hold a formalized, come sit down with me and let's look at it, even though that's not a bad idea. But I think I'm a little too modest to do that, I think. But I'm really happy with how everyone has received it. I think I could do more. I mean, I think I could, I don't know, I think I could probably get Target to maybe show it as people are walking around the store. Maybe these are some ideas that all of us can work on. Target and Nordstrom and some places like that, they can screen it inside the stores.
That'd be cool.
Donovan, here's a question for you.
Oh.
I think I need to preface it by saying congratulations, because you did get into the Berklee College of Music.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the film yet, but either way, it's still very good. You can watch it again and again and again. And vote for it again and again and again. What advice do you have for other high school students who want to get into Berklee or another top music program?
I would say go for it. And when you're gonna go into something that you really want to do, you have to really be dedicated to it. Don't just say, oh, I want to go here because someone else went here and they're making all this money and stuff. Do it because you want to, not just because you see someone else do it. And you have to set up a routine and a scheduled time to practice if you really want to do this, because auditioning it's pretty stressful. It scared me for a bit, and you got to sort of prepare yourself mentally and physically. You're gonna lose sleep when it's coming to your life and your career and what you want to do after you graduate. And just prepare yourself, and branch out a lot. Because once you branch out, it takes a lot of the work of sort of preparing yourself. It makes it a lot easier. They're gonna ask you about a lot of weird time signatures or such. And me branching out a lot and playing with other musicians, I've been working with a lot of time signatures, and I got all that out of the way when I worked with them. So just branch out as much as you can and listen to like a lot of different styles of music or a lot of different types of, I would say, films, because it is an arts like school. So I would say like films or whatever you do, just branch out as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, but
And that'll
what was
make
the
it.
hardest part for you, though, Donovan? Sorry, Eric.
The hardest part for me was, I would say, figuring out when I would practice and still have time to like finish homework and study for tests and get passing grades and to keep everything stable. I think that was the hardest part. And like making everyone happy with required pieces that they wanted, like music and such, and not lacking any section. So that was kind of the hardest part for me, was to keep everything balanced.
Balanced. Hmm.
Finding
I have a
balance.
hard time with that myself. It's hard to keep things balanced, though, even when you're out of school. When you have a career, it's difficult.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and this brings us to the hardest part of this discussion, I guess, is it seems like this is an amazing program. It seems like we have an amazing teacher here. It seems like we have a very dedicated student. But how replicable is Fauché in your class? How can this be a solution for others? And how do we make sure that the lessons we're seeing here aren't just the product of incredible individuals coming together, but also something that everyone can learn from?
Who's this question for?
Anyone who wants to answer.
Ah.
That means you.
Well, really, I believe it must be highly replicable, because my goal is that it is replicable. I have spent a little bit of time running my mouth about how it is and should be replicable, creating opportunities for children of color to find success in accomplishing their dreams and being good goal setters, but doing a good job of of setting up procedures and having routines that allow them to accomplish these goals every step of the way. You know, it has to be a reflection of what we do every day, not just what we're doing for this one time. So what's to be replicated? Well, you got to have quality instruction on a daily basis. That's very, very important. And that quality instruction has got to lead to something. Now, one thing about kids is that kids need to believe that they are part of something bigger than themselves, or else they don't really give their whole heart and soul to it. So, you know, when you bring in people from the community, you throw a rock in any direction, and it's going to land on someone that plays an instrument, or that has played an instrument. And usually that's going to also bring some kind of an experience that someone else is going to appreciate and that someone wants to listen to. That's going to bring some kind of a story that will allow someone else to solve a problem that they may have. So we bring in people from the community who are involved in music, who accomplish things in music. It's important that we reach out to the parents, because if you don't reach out to the parents, then you don't have any real sustainability with the child. And beyond all of that, the other partnerships that may exist in the community, you know, the other partnerships that might allow you to amplify the messages that you're already expressing. So between some solid instruction in the classroom and reaching out and bringing some different colors of information in from people in the community so that the kids aren't bored, the kids are excited, from reaching out and finding other nonprofits and university outreach opportunities so that the kids, once they leave your room, they still have other rooms that they can go to, other places on the weekends that they can go and experience music, and they get opportunities to audition for other things, other places. You know, then I think you're on a good road, on a good avenue to really creating and establishing and sustaining a quality music program, and nothing is like music. Nothing's like music. It's incredibly important, especially if we have designs on making this a better world. You know, starting with the classroom, then the school, then the community, then the city, then the state, then the world.
Well, that was very inspirational. Donovan, do you agree with that? Do you feel like you could have been who you are today even without Vince, or is he absolutely essential into the process of making you into a Berkeley College freshman?
Um, I would have to say every word that he said is exactly right and true, because he's one of the amazing instructors that he's talking about. Because without instruction, you really can't make it. Like, that's like an actor or like a singer. Like, if Aretha Franklin or such didn't have a coach to teach her and show her and like mold her and like shape her into the musician that she is, then you wouldn't really make it, because you wouldn't have like a real structure, or like it wouldn't be the same as if you just went at it from your perspective of, oh, I just need to practice this, or there's certain routines that certain people teach you, and their ways can help you create your own style, I guess, which is all brought back to your instructor. And so I would just say that like instruction is the thing that changes everything. Like, it all starts with your teacher.
So Donovan, speaking of teachers, when do you leave for Boston? What are the plans? I haven't caught up with you.
My plans for Boston is I'm taking a year off, so I could gig
Really?
and
I
such.
didn't know that.
Yeah, so I'm taking a year off, and I'm starting fall of 2015.
Wow.
But for now, I'm starting to be a mentor and work with it's like an organization called Harmony Project, and so I'm gonna work with like younger students and like teach them and sort of help them out.
And where will you teach these students, Donovan?
It would be around the Leimert Park area and also around like Fauché as well.
Around Fauché,
Yes.
yes.
So already giving back to the community.
Yeah.
That's right.
Can I ask you what made you decide to redshirt for a year? Like what made you come to that decision?
Well, I came to this decision because I didn't want to just go straight into it. Like, I've seen like a lot of students who have graduated and they're like, oh, we're going to go to USC and we're just going to start college. And some of them can't really like hold up, and some are like, oh, it's so easy. But I didn't want to just rush into something that I didn't think I was prepared for yet. So I was like, I might as well wait and just explore a little more before I start like going into something that's talking about my life here. So I might as well prepare.
So the partnership with Mr. Womack continues. That sounds awesome. I think that's going to be great that you'll be, a student mentor to other students.
That'll be
Well,
fun.
when he first told me about it, I kind of took a step back, but as I listened to him, and obviously as I saw the opportunities for me to continue to work with him and for me to kind of reap some of the benefits of all of the instruction that's been put in him, I kind of saw a lot of rewards for him. And you should also know that it also gives him another several months to like save some more money, because pizza is pretty expensive here in the Boston area. And Donovan eats a lot of pizza. A lot of pizza. He's a bottomless pit, by the way. But yes, truly, I'm very excited to have this year to work with him, and for him to have the time to connect with other young men and women. And he's going to have so many questions about his process, and he's going to have so much time to continue to embolden his process of becoming what he is at this point, because you know there's that book, I don't know who wrote it, but the title is "What Got You Here Won't Get You There." So he gets a lot of time to continue to put himself in a position to get him to the next level and to be successful at the next level. Because a lot of young men, doesn't matter the color, you know, doesn't matter the creed, a lot of people have accomplished things and won auditions, and they felt so accomplished by winning the audition, but then they get to the place thinking about, I got the audition, but they, you know, but they don't accomplish things once they get there. So that's going to be the focus on Donovan Brown at this point. Getting him there, but getting there and he stays there, and he does well there. He continues to hit home runs there. That's my goal for Donovan. I hope that's Donovan's goal for Donovan as well.
Yeah.
Noel and Rob, how are you guys going to keep hitting home runs?
I keep finding people like Vince and Donovan that are passionate and compelling people and figures to focus our efforts on.
It's like what Storyhunter always says, right? You know, you're on the hunt. I mean, we're always on the hunt. We have our company is making documentary style shorts for branded content or for clients, and we continue to use that as a jumping off point to find great stories that we can tell on our own independently. So it's something that we never sit down on. It's something that we're always striving for and hunting for, and so we'll let you know when we've got the next great story to tell.
Great. Well, I want to wrap this up. It's been a great hour. I want to go out and accomplish things. This this is kind of the feeling.
Vince does that to you, doesn't he? He makes you want to go out and do something.
and eat pizza before. I think I want to just say thank you again, all, for being here and sharing this story. I guess the other side of the mirror with us, so that we understand a little bit better what it is about filmmaking and what it is also to be the subject in a film. So thank you all very much. It was a pleasure talking with all of you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Much success.
I also want to let everyone know that you have until July 31st to vote for the jazz ticket on the PBS Online Film Festival. Please vote, especially if you like the film. Every day you can vote once. So do that. Let's get from 7 higher up. Let's get on that podium. And I want to tell you also that if you're a filmmaker out there and you have great story ideas, please join our community at Storyhunter. You go to storyhunter.tv. And we're looking forward to hearing your story ideas and finding ways to turning them into great little films. This was our final PBS Doc Chat, POV Doc Chat, and I'm looking forward to more great adventures on the East Coast, Donovan.
Cool. You'll see them soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.